Welcome to another episode of Invested, a limited podcast that gives you a look at the creator economy and our ever-growing equity crowdfund on Start Engine for Fanbase. I'm your host, Isaac Hayes III. I'm joined always by Mr. Noah Washington to my far right. I love having Noah as part of the podcast because
Thank you.
He keeps it fun and youthful and journalistic. I told you, I just like to talk. But let's get into today's guest. This is an important conversation that we have to have. Today's guest is a seasoned television producer and media visionary with more than 15 years of experience shaping culture through storytelling. She launched her career casting iconic shows like America's Next Top Model and went on to serve as the promotions producer for beloved series including Girlfriends and Everybody Hates Chris. She later expanded her creative reach into music and documentary filmmaking by founding Camera Girl Media, her boutique production company. Through Camera Girl, she has directed music videos and documentaries for such artists as Jay-Z and Gucci Mane, blending cinematic visuals with bold cultural commentary. Her career later advanced into producing breaking news and political content for top networks including CBS, ABC, MSNBC, HLN, and CNN. As a news producer, she's contributed some of the most impactful and widely viewed broadcasts in the country. Today, we welcome Tamisha Harris to Invested.
Ooh, this is when the soundtrack clap comes in.
Yeah.
Well, like a good soundtrack clap.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing fantastic here with you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. I'm doing great.
This was the timing of today's conversation is very, very perfect. We're going to get into that into 1 second. Noah?
Let's hit him. Why are we here, Mr. Hayes?
Among having this great conversation that we're having today, we are in the middle of a Regulation A equity crowdfund for Fanbase on Start Engine, and the goal is a $17 million raise. We are currently at, I want to say, $12.9 million raised, which is awesome.
About to cross to 13, baby.
About to cross 13. You yourself can invest in Fanbase right now by going to startengine.com/fanbase. The minimum to invest in Fanbase is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This is not a GoFundMe. This is not a Kickstarter campaign. This is real equity into a social media platform that's scaling and shaping the future of the social economy. All right, what are we talking about first, real quick, Noah?
So, in the news, we're talking about Target. Did you hear what happened?
Of course, because I posted it on my social media, posted it on my pages, and it actually got a lot of people upset.
Yeah, so you want to hear, I commented on that.
Well, tell them what it is first.
Yeah, first, that's right. So, reading off of guys to be as factual as possible. After 11 years, Target CEO Brian Cornell will step down in February of 2026, handing leadership to COO Michael Fendekel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Target reported a 21% drop in net income and a 1.9% decline in comparable sales. This comes after rolling back a series of DEI initiatives, which eventually led to a boycott of the brand led by our very own Dr. Jamal Bryant, which has seen extreme success. So I wanted to talk about this today because not only did he step down, but he got a new position.
He got a promotion.
Yeah, chairman of the board. And my question to you as seasoned journalist, to you, a founder of your own right, when do we pivot and use and start our own brands when we see that our existing brands have lost their cultural relevance?
Oh, well, I mean, how do you get a promotion when you're failing? Target's having a really bad year and you got promoted. I think it's a way for him to get out of the position. I think that the boycott, the fast is having a really good effect on what's going on, and I think we should continue to do so. To answer your question, I think the only thing that I'm concerned about is when we are not shopping at Target, where are we shopping? And where can we identify where we can spend our dollars in our community? We talked about Ulta Beauty not too long ago.
We did.
We talked about Sally Beauty Supply or Sephora and how big the hair care industry is and how much Black women contribute to that industry, but we don't have a Ulta Beauty or a Sally Beauty supply. So if we had someplace that was founded like Target, where we could go direct our dollars and buy products, even those Black-owned products that are in Target, and have a place for them to be, that's kind of where I'm wondering, when are we going to do that?
Ma'am, how about you?
So, it's a really good question. We have our own companies, we have our own brands. The issue is we are putting our brands in stores that don't belong to us. And when you speaking to your point on these beauty salons at beauty supply stores, we are the number one target demographic. And so what you're finding with a beauty supply owners, the ones who are Black, they're having a hard time getting supplies from China and wherever else the supplies come from. They're not they're and they are the prices, the cost that they're having to pay is unsustainable. My sister owned a beauty supply store that she had to close. My friend Melvina out in College Park, she owns Pooh Holly hair beauty supply store, and she is also struggling. They are the costs for us to buy what we need are astronomical. It's insane. But the reason why is because we don't own what we use, and we have to own what we use. That goes for everything. That's media. That's social media. That is our electronics. That's everything. Our food, our farmers. We have to go support our farmers. We have to support us. We have to create our ecosystem and support and continue to pour into our own ecosystem. That's the only way that everybody is going to be able to thrive.
This is really important. I'm gonna tell you why. So Tamisha hit me this week and said, Isaac, I'm coming to see you. Right. And so you hit me up, it's like, I want to meet. And I thought we were going to meet about something else that we've been talking about. But the conversation quickly became about one subject and one subject only. And I want you to tell everybody out here what you had to tell me.
So I'm going to say this. I'm a producer, which means I'm behind the camera. You never see me. Most people who are watching this have never seen me. They don't know who I am. Although a lot of the stories that you see on television from all of the news networks, because as you said in the opening, I've produced all of the shows that you watch. And the reason why I called you is because we are in a crisis where we need our own Black media, specifically social media, because what's happening is we are being deprioritized, we are being shadow banned. We are all of these things are happening when we need to get real messages out to us right now. If you watch the news that I produce, you'll see that the administration is suing networks for speaking the truth. This is not just on a network level. This is coming to your front door. And from the behind the scenes, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, we're in danger. If we need to get information out, we can't be censored, because even though these networks are being censored in a lot of ways, we can't afford to be censored. If we need to get information out to our people, then it needs to get out urgently. And so that's why I called you. I said, Isaac, we had the conversation. Fan bases an emergency, because when we start getting this, and when things start happening and we have to get the information out, the news out, we can't afford to be shadow banned. We can't afford misinformation and disinformation. We have to know exactly what to do and what to do it. And I'm not being an alarmist at all. If I were, you would have seen me before now. I'm saying there are things coming down the pipeline, and this needs to be our Underground Railroad, is what I'm saying.
Got it.
I'm saying we can't play.
So you work at, well, can I say where you work at now?
Uh,
It's okay. Well, don't worry about it.
Like, it's okay.
No, but
I work for a huge network.
she works for a major news network,
Yeah.
and so
And I'm sure, you can go.
you can Google.
Yeah.
But the importance of that is that you have the perspective. You are on the front lines of what's happening every single day.
Every single day.
You've seen anchors get pulled off the air.
Absolutely. I've seen, my show was canceled.
Yeah.
At MSNBC.
Okay. Yeah.
Mehdi Hassan show. It was canceled. When you're not aligned, when your voice is not, even if you're saying the right thing, even if you are speaking from your perspective, and you're telling the stories from your perspective, if it's not aligned with what the instructions are, then you're getting pulled off the air.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you said that, because the reason that I built the app.
But not to say that that's what happened with Mehdi. I'm just saying in general that there are rules, there is guidance. There is guidance in place. And so we have to, if the guidance is in place, then we have to make sure that guidance is also going to benefit us. The guidance is also going to help our communities. That's important.
So I brought up the conversation of Black-owned media recently, because what I'm asking you, what do you consider Black-owned media? Is it being someone Black that is allowed to report the news on networks that are not owned by us, or is it the ability to say what you want, when you want, how often you want, whatever way you want?
So the second one, number one.
Okay.
But then also, we just have to be clear, and I think the number is something like 2% of newsrooms are Black owned.
Yep.
That can't be the case, because what happens is the stories are being told through a white editorial lens. And so that's going to subject us to stereotypes, whether the producers mean to or not, whether the anchors mean to or not. It's just innate. That's just what's going to happen. And so we're not able to tell if we don't own the platform like a fan base, then we can't tell the true stories. And so then we're telling stories through the lens of tragedy. We're telling stories through the lens of trauma. That's not the only thing that we're made up of. We're made up of joy. We're made up of happiness.
Mm.
We have stories that are very true to us, and we don't have to walk around feeling as though, downtrodden. No, that's not how we live. Our boys, for instance, I'm going to say this: when we get emails coming through, when I get emails, I have to make sure this is coming from, when I worked in local news, you would get emails about, whether it's a robbery or if it's a rape or if it's this or if it's that. We decide which one goes on air. You can have a white man that committed a robbery. You can have a Black man that committed a robbery. You have to make sure that your newscast is balanced.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you want people to watch. So what's going to get them more afraid? What's going to get people to watch?
Yeah.
A white man that committed a robbery or a Black man what's going to get people, what's going on? A Black
We have a problem with crime in DC.
Problem with crime in DC. We're not going to show the white man who committed the crime. We're going to show the Black man who committed the crime, because that's what we're used to seeing. Even as a Black producer, I'm going to put on, okay, you have to be cognizant, and you have to go in there. So that's one thing. You have to go in there and you have to fight for your stories.
Yep.
I'm a Black woman, and I work with the majority of, all throughout my career, I've worked with the majority of white men. I still have to go in there as a producer, and this is for the new journalists coming into the media. You still have to go in there and you have to fight for our stories, no matter how you sound. No matter if you sound like the Black person in the room, be the Black person in the room, because you have to tell our stories. That's your job. Also, it's going to help the network look smart, look diverse. You're looking out for the network. Keep that in mind. Your executive producer, the executive producer should be asking the Black person in the room, should be asking the Hispanic person in the room, does this script offend? Is it offensive to the community?
Mm-hmm.
Is it telling the full story? Tell us from your lens how this looks. And then your job is to speak up. And so that's why it's important for us to have our own platforms. That's why it's important for us to have a fan base. That's why it's important for us to have our own Netflix, our own Peacock, our own Paramount, whatever it is.
I wanna ask a follow-up question to that. I have been lucky enough to ever only work in Black newsrooms, be it the NMPA, Black Press USA, the Atlanta Voice, and work for Black companies fan base for Isaac. I've worked for Isaac since 2019, right? So I've never had to look down the barrel of that gun. But my question is, do we can still consider it, if it's Black owned, does it have to be exclusively Black owned to tell our stories, or can it be just aligned with our narrative and our interests?
I think that right now we are at a point in time where we cannot compromise our eyes. We cannot compromise our bodies. And what I mean by that is we are the currency, right? If anyone wants to do business with us, they need to come to us. That doesn't mean that we won't. We will do business with we'll do business with everybody, but it needs to be on our terms. So yes, it needs to be Black owned. It needs to be majority Black owned.
Let me jump in here with that, because I have some friends of mine that are in media. I'm not going to name their names. I'm really good friends with them, and they hit me today and said, I said that there's no such thing really as Black media, and they're like, that's not true. And I was like, well, if you work for a major, media conglomerate, you can't say what you want to say, how often you want to say it, when you want to say it, how you want to say it. The only person that I know that in media right now that is doing that is Roland Martin. Roland is the only person that can say what he wants, when he wants, how often he wants, and how he wants. And now we have Joy Reid that's doing that. And now we have Don Lemon that is doing that. All these Black anchors have been forced out of media platforms. And so my point in saying that is, I understand that there's Black media, but the power of media in itself to grow and scale businesses is something that's extremely important, because I hearken back to what I said earlier was when Trump won the election and everybody started going to Blue Sky, all the white media outlets started reporting about Blue Sky, and all the Black ones did too. And my point was, if you can't stop and talk about Black owned social media at a time like that,
Yes.
then you're not Black media.
Right.
If you can't say, I don't care, like if you're not, I don't care from the Shade Room to iHeart, if you can't stop and say, I want to put out a story about fan base, and you can't, because in that brief period of time, 71 stories were written about Blue Sky. In that 60-day period, they got over 24 million users. It raised their valuation to $700 million. Wow. And now they were able to raise money to build better by simply just downloading the platform. Yeah. And we don't own any platforms. And so I understand that people have built their careers in media through conglomerates that are not Black owned. But the crisis that I think we're facing is, do not be surprised in the next few years if they start pulling down your Instagram page, right?
Sure.
Pulling down your Instagram page if your business model is built on the Instagram page, you might want to make a fan base page too, just in case.
But not only that, Isaac, and that's such a good point, digital redlining exists. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is what I said before, when we are just us, as Black people, we are being shadow banned, we are being demonetized, we are being deprioritized. So just as you said, that the call is for all of us to download fan base. Download fan base now, and then start. We get it. We know you love TikTok. We know you love Instagram, IG. I love IG.
Yeah.
We are in a crisis right now. We can't afford it. We cannot afford to play on platforms that are not prioritizing us. We can't afford to do it.
I think that's I appreciate that, because that conversation right there leads to the importance of the power of Black culture, because Black culture moves the needle regardless. And we've done this with platforms like Clubhouse. I had somebody talk about, somebody posted today, somebody should study the rise and fall of Clubhouse. Where I was like, well, Clubhouse really ain't falling yet, because Black people still over there. We're still over there. And We're over there to the point that when we first got over there, we got them to 1 million users in about 4 months. They were able to raise $100 million at $1 billion valuation. They never monetized the platform. They never prioritized the Black community over there. And it's 2025, and the creators over there still don't have monetization or any opportunity to scale and grow over there. And we're still over there. And I think that we look at social media as a toy. And I agree with that. Social media was fun. When MySpace came out, I was on MySpace. I had my top 8. We was having fun. When Twitter came out, we was posting tweets, and then Facebook, and then Instagram. But in the last 15 years or so, or 20 years or so, media has shifted more towards digital distribution. It's not linear television anymore. And I'm pretty sure you know about that. I don't even know.
Of course.
Do you have any stats about that? Do you know any information about that?
Well, I mean, in terms of the ratings, everybody is suffering.
Yeah.
When you see these networks that are downsizing, it's because the ratings are on social media.
Right.
The ratings are on the YouTubes, and so that's why it's so important right now. That's why fan base is critical right now. They're trying the linear media is trying to emulate social media. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So the power is what you said. This power is in social media. Social media is the number one media. Social media is media.
Right.
Nobody is going, if you tell me, okay, well, this show is the news program comes on at, 9 p.m. So I'm going to go sit in front of my television at 9 p.m. I'm not doing it. And neither are you. And neither are you. You're going to go to social media and you're going to find out whatever you need to know. And you're going to go to the next story.
Yeah, short form media is the most watched medium in the world, far eclipsing anything else. I want to double down on that point that Isaac just made. How much does ownership determine whether the stories are told authentic and in service of the community?
So I think that's a good question. I think that when it comes to ownership, you can have, take for instance any news network, right? You can have a team full of Black producers, right, or Black and brown producers who are determining what stories are told and determining how the stories are told. Everybody, but if it's owned by white media, if it's not owned by us, then everybody has someone to answer to.
Hmm.
And so the stories are still you're still in this circle where you have to do what you're told. Even if they let you play a little bit. Oh, go ahead and play around. But the minute you get out of line, the minute that it doesn't align with whatever the bigger agenda is for that company, then you're going to be pulled back. We can't afford to be pulled back because the same thing that's happening with the museums, we're seeing it happening. We're seeing our history being dismantled. This is not a joke.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, this is not a joke. It's happening. We're in our neighborhoods minding our own business. And you're sending our troops, Americans, to our neighborhoods to bother us. This is happening right now. And each city is being targeted. The cities that have majority of us.
Let me add to that too. And how are these stories being told and how are these stories being captured? They're not being captured by mainstream media. They're actually being captured by the community.
It's being captured by the community. If you notice, when it comes to police brutality, when it comes to health care, when it comes to particularly police brutality, you'll notice that not much of that is being shown on mainstream media anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas before in 2020, that's all we saw was police brutality. Do you think it's not happening?
Right.
It's still happening. We're moving past it. I'm watching us. I watch us. I'm looking, hey, we got to put this on. It's not a priority for the network right now. What this man just got punched in the face, like we have to really fight like never before for police brutality stories now. We're not seeing it as much anymore.
So let me ask a question. If we don't own the media, does that mean that we are renting space in someone else's narrative?
I believe that we are renting space. Yes. I believe that we can, we can have our narrative, but I go back to what I said. There is a string that will be pulled if it's not aligned with whoever we answer to. We need to answer to us.
Mm. I have friends in DC right now. I'll name outlets, leave it out of it, and reporters' names. Where they're pitching these black stories, and they're consistently and constantly being shut down.
Oh, it happens. That's the story of our lives as producers. And when you find that, that's why it's very frustrating. Like before it was, tolerable because it's like, okay, well then they're saying yes to this. But now with the new administration, it's no longer, oh, we do need to get this in. Let's go ahead and get this in. It's uh
Mm. Well, I want to say that we also need to do our homework when it comes to Black-owned media, because sometimes we see brands and think that they might be owned by us. So
Yeah.
I get it, because sometimes people work for brands. No shade to anybody that works at BET, but BET is owned by Paramount, right? When we saw a story today, and this is something that I have to talk about that is crazy important. And this is what I mean by media is important, right? So Vibe magazine. So Quincy Jones was a co-founder of Vibe magazine. So I saw a social media post of Vibe magazine today, and the post was about 50 Cent's. This guy made a song about 50 Cent's baby mom, and he's disrespecting her, how she used to date Diddy or whatever. And I'm like, do you understand that that's Vibe magazine? That was a music culture magazine. And right now, in 2025, every recording artist in hip hop and R&B that wrote a song in 1990 can terminate the publishing on their copyright and get that back. But yet you're watching videos of somebody troll 50 Cent, and Vibe magazine is not telling stories about how Black artists and Black rappers need to be getting their publishing back. They're not telling those stories on Rolling Stone. They're not telling those stories on Billboard. They're not telling these stories on even the Black media sites that we own. So I don't see those stories on the Shade Room, Baller Alert. I don't see these stories on World Star Hip Hop with the word hip hop in it, but nobody's telling us how to get hip hop back in our pocket. So that's the thing that I think is extremely important. It's like, we got to know where this news is coming from, who these outlets are. And I get it. I get it. You're locked in. I love the funny drama and the goofy stories too. I'm not mad at those. I like the funny stories. But again, social media is a tool now. I believe that the distribution of content will go through large social networks in the future. It will not be mainstream media.
Absolutely.
It will not be linear television. It won't even be the apps on your TV right now.
Absolutely.
It will not be Netflix and Hulu.
Yeah.
It will be through a Facebook, through a YouTube, through an Instagram, through a TikTok, and we don't own none of those platforms.
And that's why it's so important for us as creators. And to your point, when you said, yes, I work for the news networks, but I also understand the importance of creating. That's where the frustration is. That's where my frustration came in. I'm like, okay, I've got to do my own productions. I've got to go out in the community and tell I'd have to tell our story and then put it on a platform. Isaac already has the platform we need. We don't have to recreate the wheel. Thank God for fan base. We can go straight to you and say, hey, this is the move. I get pitched all the time about movies, about, can I come on, your show? And I got this idea for a series. Your series, your movies, your content needs to go on fan base. It doesn't, we have to not worry about who's getting the bulk of the money. If it's us, it belongs to us. And then you do have a model when it comes to monetization. And again, I don't know the model. I just know what I do know is that you have a platform that belongs to us, and we need to put our content on that platform.
I want to put you on the spot.
Okay.
This is a really on the spot question.
Okay.
To every single Black journalist on social media, I don't care if it's Charlemagne, I don't care if it's Angela Rye, I don't care if it's Don Lennon, I don't care if it's Joy Reid, because a lot of them are on fan base, but a lot of them aren't. And the urgency for us to start using these platforms, because again, it's cool to say I got a fan base page, but are you using it? Or are you still on YouTube? Or are you still on TikTok? Or are you still on Instagram? What do you have to say to those journalists?
The first thing I have to say is this, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna answer your question. The first thing I have to say is people are going to go where the eyes are. I'm not gonna tell the journalists to go to fan base because we need the people there first. So what I'm gonna do is tell the people, go to fan base, and the journalists and the companies and the brands, they're gonna follow wherever you are. You are the currency. So we need the people to go to fan base. You now go download fan base now. The journalists are going to come to you. It's going to be easy. We don't have to fight for companies. We don't have to fight for brands. We need to tell the people to come. And they're going to follow. Everybody is going to follow.
So I find it hard as someone, and this is really interesting because this is a conversation I've had a lot. When I first founded the company, people were like, hey, people want social media platforms to be fun. I built the fun stuff into the app, but I also understood the economic value of democratizing the distribution of content to every single person on the planet. So you yourself are your own television network. So regardless of that, even if you are a content creator, you can post your own content, monetize your own content, have your own voice, and use the platform that way. So again, even when people say that, but when I mention Black, I'm like, yeah, but we still need to focus on the Black version of this. And it's nothing wrong. It's almost taboo to say something is Black owned because sometimes you'll get pushback.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
it doesn't, why does it have to be Black owned? But I'm the way that I've been seeing the puck moving is I keep seeing people get demonetized. Matter of fact, this one kid, and I'm not going to call him a kid. He's a grown man, but my boy, Super Ray 14K. If anybody's ever seen Super Ray 14K,
love him.
He got kicked off Instagram. The guy that does the voiceover videos.
Recently?
Yeah, that have all those million.
Oh my God, he's hilarious.
And had those. He had billions of views.
Yes.
And you know what he did? Here's how he got kicked off. He took a video of something that was already on Instagram that somebody was saying that was racist, and he reposted it and did commentary on that video, and they took his page down.
Wow, so they didn't, not the person who did it.
Not the person that did it.
Yeah.
They took his page down.
Yeah.
And I've been telling Ray, I was like, look, I understand you love Instagram and that's where the attention is, but you got to start building community in places where, you know, at least at the end of the day, fan base is a platform that's for all people. Like I said, that I don't care. I'm not trying to pick one side or another side. I want people to be able to have the conversations that they want to say when they want to say it. But when they're demonetizing mostly African-American YouTube channels and suppressing their views and kicking you off platforms, and then we just sit there and then what we do is we get upset and bang on the door like, let us in, let us in, let us in. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Why are we doing that? Why are we begging to give them our content? Why are we begging to give them our money and to give them our fans?
Oh, I got something. This is crazy. This is not necessarily off topic, but it's crazy. One of the guys that was over at partnerships at TikTok, a Black dude, he just went over to Tubi. Pause for a second. Let me give the Tubi story real quick. So Tubi, everybody knows what Tubi is, especially Black culture. So you know all those movies that were going on Tubi? Those movies that were going on Tubi had a minimum budget requirement to be on the platform. So let's say, hey, if I wanted to get my movie on Tubi, the minimum budget that your movie has to be was maybe $50K, $25,000. Okay. And then you can get your movie put on Tubi. Black people did that for years and years and years, right? Okay. Then Tubi just did a rebrand. They did a brand new rebrand. And then guess what happened? They raised the amount of money that your production has to be to put a movie on Tubi. Wow. So now your production, the budget of your movie has to be $500,000.
Oh, wow.
$1 million to get on Tubi. So now Black people built up Tubi, and now you got to shoot better content to put your movies on Tubi. But here's the part: the guy that went over to Tubi, he just got over there from TikTok, Black dude. Guess what he just did? He did a deal with Mr. Beast. He just did a deal with Mr. Beast.
So after
I'm not saying Mr. Beast is not an incredible person to get. He is the #1 video streamer on the planet. Don't get me wrong.
But out of all
the people, he could have started with 10, 15, 20 other creators.
Exactly.
to do content with over at Tubi, but he just announced, I'm doing a deal with Mr. Beast. And by the way, Tubi's owned by Fox Corporation.
Right. Absolutely.
Wow.
That's my point. That's my point.
And here's the bigger point to the conversation that we have about black media is that what we blow up Tubi, and then Tubi makes revenue for Fox Corp. What does Fox Corp do with that money? They take that money
And reinvest
and reinvest it in Trump
Yeah.
Absolutely.
or programs and
Absolutely.
programs or agendas that work against
Us.
It's the same thing that I said with Clubhouse. All the black people on Clubhouse raised $100 million at $1 billion valuation, did nothing for black people. Guess what Clubhouse did right after the election? The investors in Clubhouse, Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, they hired Daniel Penny, the young man that killed the other black young man, Jordan Neely, and hired him to be an investor at A16Z with no investing experience. The only reason they hired him is because he killed Jordan Neely. He has no experience of investing in tech startups. But A16Z, right, took Daniel Penny and said, we're going to teach him how to invest in tech startups because he killed Jordan Neely. And black people still sit over on Clubhouse. And that is and that is the thing that is like, yo, I get it. Like, you don't understand that the money that is being generated, those guys are taking that money and putting those into agendas that work against black people.
Yeah.
And we sit on these platforms and we don't see the train coming down the tracks because we're too busy doing Jet 2 holidays
Yeah.
and posting memes, and we're doing the Chris Brown challenge right now.
Yeah.
And I understand I want to do them too.
Yeah.
But the foundation has to be laid of where are we going to go, where are we going to build community, where are we going to have those conversations. And then more importantly, on top of that, the reason why I used equity crowdfunding for fan base is because I didn't want to make this personal success. I didn't want to make this about like me just being because all those other people that own the platforms, it's like 10 people and they worth billions and billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
The reason why I said no, go invest so you can own
Yeah.
part of the platform and scale it up.
Yeah.
You can have equity in this platform and scale it up.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I did this. It's not because individual success is dead. No shade to none of these conferences or these people that bring people on stage that said, I made it and you can make it too. That serves nothing for the black community. Individual success from the black community is dead. It is not going to get us out of the wealth gap. It's not going to pull us out of the wealth gap. So because all it does is it creates a pool of wealthy black people that really align more with elitism and tend to be over on the side of in a lot of cases things that work against black people because they're not hooked into the problems that we're hooked into. We're not hooked into that stuff.
Right.
So it's like, I get it. I can show you how to make, bro, we need to be, I said, if we want to escape the black wealth gap, we have to be investing in tech companies that leverage black culture to survive. So anything that you can think of that needs black people to work,
Yeah.
which is the music business, which is DJ and music culture, which is social media.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't own those infrastructures collectively and scale them up to hundreds of billions of dollars,
Yeah.
I don't mean $1 billion or $2 billion. I mean 100, 200, 300, 400 billion dollars. Because remember, Africa is about to get on the internet.
Yep.
They coming on the internet. 60% of Africa is under the age of 29 years old. Once they get the internet, that is 2 billion people, black people, that are going to be on social media. And whoever owns the infrastructure to the platforms that have those people are going to make billions and trillions of dollars.
And we can do it. And here's the thing, just like we did with when we were with the Win with Black Women, Win with Black Women initiative, when we were working on getting Kamala in office, I was on one of the first, I think it was the first phone call. It just to see the numbers, and we were able to see the numbers just rise as the number of women who were getting on the calls. It's just like, wow, we do know how to mobilize. We do know how to set an agenda. And I say we know how. Yes, we've seen historically us do it, but right now we've not seen it in that way. So we were able to see, just watch the numbers go from 1,800, 18,000, 50,000. We were able to see it. So my point, Isaac, is that this is the same urgency we had then is the same urgency when we talk about the media, the talent in media. That's the same urgency we need to have now. in getting everybody on fan base so that we can have our entertainment, we can have our social media fun. But the main thing is we have to get our information to our people, and we have to get our stories told accurately to our people, particularly right now in the state that we're in right now with this administration. And going forward, this is a late call.
Yeah.
This is a very late call. We should have already done it. It shouldn't take for the government to come into our neighborhoods to start pulling our sons and our daughters out of cars for us to say, oh, wait a minute, we need our own platform. We need our own media. No, it shouldn't take for us to be dead lying on the street. It shouldn't take the administration to begin censoring media companies for us to say, oh, we need our own. This is a late call. This is urgent. This is now. Download fan base now and start putting your content on fan base now. Doesn't matter who Isaac owns it and whoever. I don't even know the background of it. Whoever else. It doesn't matter. This is where we need to live right now. That's what's important.
So I think this is a good time to once again plug the raise.
Well, yeah. Well, I want to ask a question before that, or a brief question before that. How much money did Win with Black Women and Win with Black Men raise in that short period of time?
That's a good question.
You remember that? Noah, look that up.
Look that up.
But the reason why I say that's important is because whatever it is, it's probably more than what we need to close this round.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that social media platforms cost money to build, right? In fact, in this process, we've raised a significant amount of capital. But when I tell you other platforms have been given 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x what we've done and have failed and not even provided any opportunity or anything for Black people to be able to have an opportunity to monetize and make money or even own. But own, the part about that is when I repeat the story, there's a story that you probably haven't heard me talk about before, but the early investors in Uber were a small group of people. It might have been like 15 people.
Okay.
They took $500,000 collectively and invested in Uber. The smallest investors of those platforms were people that put in $5,000.
That's what it is.
Okay, so
same thing with Obama's campaign. Remember,
Yeah.
grassroots.
right.
So
Hold on real quick.
Okay.
The 5K that they put into Uber in 2010, when that company went public in 2019, that 5,000 was worth $24 million.
Oh yeah.
And my point is that if we know that Black culture, which is another reason why I built that, but we know that Black culture plus social media equals billion-dollar corporation. We can say that without a doubt. Do you agree with that?
For
Black
sure.
culture plus social media equals $1 billion platform.
For sure.
Okay, so then if you have the opportunity to own the infrastructure of social media that you know that Black culture can power and make popular, then why not take the advantage of doing so? Which is why we did equity crowdfunding. We have over 23,000 investors in Fanbase, but the point that I'm making is it's to distribute wealth amongst Black people. This is not about individual success. I want thousands and thousands of millionaires and multimillionaires. That's the only way we're going to escape the wealth gap. We're not going to escape the wealth gap by the 1 or 2 or 10 Black billionaires we have, looking at them as some sort of inspiration that we can make it too. It ain't going to cut it.
Yeah.
We have to be investing in corporations and companies collectively together. Like I said, let's get 20,000 Black women and invest in a Black-owned beauty supply company and scale that up to 5, 10, 15, however many. I think Ulta's worth $29 billion. Exit that company and then go build another one.
And to your point, I just want to say this. You and I have talked back and forth about this.
Mm-hmm.
In the news business, we have this thing. We talk on a 7-year-old level because we need everybody to understand what we're saying. When we talk, a lot of times when we talk to our people about wealth building, it goes over their head because not that they are 7-year-olds. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that people need to know what impacts them right now. So that's the level we speak on in news. How is this impacting my children? This is how this is impacting you. And so I want you to be clear. These social media platforms are deprioritizing you. So the business that you're trying to start on the IGs and the TikToks and the YouTubes, you see yourself being shadow banned. You see that your reels are not getting the reach of your own fan base. You're not reaching, they are not prioritizing you. You know that when you reach out to these brands that you're getting paid 25 to 35% less from brands than your white counterparts. So this is how this impacts you right now, young woman, young man who is trying to start a business, who is trying to go viral. Your voice is being silenced and you're knocking on their door and they're not letting you in, or they're giving you crumbs. And so you're going to keep knocking when you have a platform here that's going to give you a share. They're going to promote your product, your service. It's right here. That's the urge. These people need to know that sometimes when we talk about stocks and we talk about investing, whatever it is, it goes over our head. This is how it's impacting you right now. This is how it's impacting your goals right now. This is what I'm saying. That's why it's important to go over to Fanbase.
So I am going to plug the raise right now, though. You can go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase is $665 a share. An interesting stat that I know is we have about 23,000 investors and we've raised about $23 million. So the average investment that people invest in Fanbase is $1,000. If 4,100 people invested $1,000 in Fanbase, whenever they see this, the raise would close. Our raise would be over. We would have the capital that we need to continue to scale and work on, continue to build a platform that anybody can use. But I think that we have to start being unapologetic about building things that can be owned and built by Black people for everyone. Fanbase is not built for exclusively Black people, but at least you know that in this environment, someone is going to let your voice be heard. Someone's going to let your stories be told. We're not even focused on advertising at this very moment because advertising dictates what they want to see. If I don't want my content, my commercial being shown around a bunch of content around police brutality and things that are going on overseas, they're going to suppress that content. I need to run this Chick-fil-A ad. I need to turn down the LGBTQ so I can get these Chick-fil-A ads out, or I need to turn down all these things that we have. And so I think that is the importance of why I felt it was urgent. I would not have built this if I was not Black. It would be no reason to. There'd be no reason to be. If I was just a white dude, there would be no reason to build this. And secondly, I wouldn't have built Fanbase if I didn't know that the value of the actual infrastructure could reach hundreds of billions of dollars. Because then it's not about my success. It's about the people that are investing in the company that can scale it up and the people that can use it to monetize making revenue. Facebook has a market cap of $1.9 trillion. Instagram, separated from Meta, is a $400 billion company. ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company, is a $400 billion. $400 billion? And Black people are powering these things. So, and nobody Black own a piece of $400 billion? That's crazy to me.
Insane.
That's crazy.
It's insanity. That's why it's important. Bring the content over to Fanbase but again, the people have to be there. We have to get the people there. We have to get the eyes there. Get to Fanbase, download it, because that's when the creators are going to come.
Oh, well, we have to have this conversation real quick because.
Wait a minute. Do you want to know the Black woman lead before we lose it?
That's right.
Yeah. Before we lose that thread.
Yeah.
So in 3 hours, they raised $1.5 million, which was the head of the $81 million that VP Harris would subsequently raise.
Wow. Yeah. In 3 hours.
3 hours.
3 hours.
And we
watch the numbers.
Right.
Just watching the numbers.
So another challenge that I have, because I'm a startup, a lot of times people say, Fanbase doesn't do this. Fanbase doesn't have this. It doesn't have carousels right now. Yeah. It doesn't have dark mode right now. Yeah. And I always say it's not anybody else's fault. I'm the one that decided to build a social media platform.
Yeah.
So the ceiling to most of these platforms is our floor. Yeah. We have to start where they are at their peak. And that's harder. And it takes money to do those types of things. Yeah. It takes money to build an enormous sticky recommendation engine algorithm that keeps you locked in. And so a lot of times people are like, yeah, but it doesn't have that. And a lot of times in our community, If it doesn't have the things that we want to leave, we want to come back. But I still want to go to the fact that in 4 months, we were able to take Clubhouse to $1 billion valuation in 4 months, and they raised $100 million. In 60 days, we were able to make Blue Sky worth $700 million. In the TikTok ban, everybody went and downloaded Red Note. All those downloads, all that attention. Nobody's talking about Red Note right now. It's in Mandarin. Nobody's talking about Red Note. It's gone. The whole black community said, we're downloading Red Note. And then TikTok came back on. It was like, all right, boom, we gone or whatever. And I'm like, yo, that's the part that I think is extremely urgent, is like, yo, we have the fan base at that time with the brief 12 hours that TikTok was down. We got to like number 4 on the social media. On social media charts on Apple, and I think number 12 overall on the App Store. And that was a moment just for, and I said, if we could keep that up for 30 days, 60 days, first of all, it would be the biggest story in America.
For sure.
It will be the number 1 story, because Asian apps always are number 1. White apps are always number 1. We've never had a black founded social media platform sit at the top of an app store, garner all the attention of the media, including black media and white media. And then on top of that, this is what venture capital does. They look for platforms that have large volumes of users that they can invest in and help scale, because they know once you got the people, it's just math at that point.
I'm going to just say this real quick, Isaac. That's not, and as you know, that's not exclusive to you. When it comes to us going to a platform or going into a store or going into a business that's black owned and saying, but they don't have this and it's just not as convenient as that. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for our own agenda. We don't have time for our own, I kind of like this. Nothing's funny right now. Right now we have to go into this space as just like they say back in the day, as a people. No, we really have to be as a people right now. Nothing's funny. Nothing is a joke. What's happening right now is going to impact us more than it's going to impact anybody else. So yeah, when you go into the stores, it may not be as convenient. You may not be able to have the red, twirly, shiny star. No, we'll get to that. Right now, we have an agenda. The agenda is to get on fan base. The agenda is to have our own platform, our own media right now. That's the agenda. And then we'll get to the red, shiny things in the yay later. Right now, there is this is the call to action for us and for the media, the talent, the black talent and brown talent. That's what we have to do right now.
When that happened, when the TikTok ban happened, one of my peers that I know that has a black social media platform posted about Red Note, and I literally had to call him. I called him on the phone and said, "What are you doing? Talk about fan base." Like, I had to call him and say, "If you don't post about fan base, why are you talking about Red Note? What is Red Note doing for you?" And that was the thing that I said about black media. I said black media primarily just repeats white media and pop culture stories. So if they talk about Red Note, we're going to talk about Red Note. If they talk about Lemonade, we're going to talk about Lemonade. We're not telling our stories and the ability to lift up that. So there's no conversation about everybody hates Tesla and Tesla's stock price is tanking. Or why are we not talking about Derek Bailey, the one black EV maker that I know who can make electric vehicles? And I don't even care if they're not as good as Tesla. Let's invest in them and get them as good as Tesla.
It reminds me, just real quick, it reminds me of what, when we look back in the day and are like, when black people would go into like restaurants and whites only and say, if that was me back in the day, I would have done this, or I wouldn't have done that, or I couldn't have been enslaved. Whatever you're doing right now is what you would have done back in the day. So if you're doing nothing right now about that pushes us forward, that's what you would have done back then. So don't talk about what you would not have done, what you would have not stood for. The very least that you can do is download fan base. That's your civil rights action right now. Download fan base. if you can't get out and get in front of a camera, if you can't get out and march or whatever it is, here's what you can do. When people say, what can I do? What do I do? Let us handle that. Download fan base. That's what you can do. Let that be your mark.
I appreciate that, because I think I'm kind of usually the voice. As a matter of fact, when we had our conversation, I said, I'm gonna let you say it. Maybe they'll listen. Maybe coming from a different voice, that they probably think that I have a vested interest in the success of a business that I built. But please understand that this is the opportunity for us to actually own infrastructure that we've never owned. I'm not like, and I said this today, I ain't trying to be funny. I'm not trying to, to throw shade, but if what is being done to Deion Sanders' children right now in the NFL, it looks like that. It looks like Kaepernick all over again.
Yes, that's
it
what
does.
It looks like. We're seeing it happen.
And my point is, so is Jay-Z gonna pick the talent this year for the Super Bowl? And my point is, okay, so he's gonna pick the talent for the Super Bowl this year, but we're gonna watch them take one of the most impactful, revolutionary football players in the history of the NFL and watch them blackball his kids.
Right.
Well, we're gonna make sure that we get, he's performing at the Super Bowl this year?
Absolutely.
Is he performing? Who's performing? But see, that's what I mean when we draw that line. Like when is it like, all right, is it about that?
Yes.
Because again, I don't, I haven't really followed the NFL very much since Kaepernick, but I'm like, okay, they just Shiloh's off the team. They gave Shador put him in with four-string players. They're going to kick off the team next week and then let him run any plays. And I'm like, y'all don't see what's kind of this is Deion Sanders. This is one of the GOATs.
And we're watching the tape. We're watching what happened.
And people just chill like, yep. So
and we're going to let them tell us, this is what I mean about storytelling. This is the prime example of what I mean about storytelling. We see that boy hit him.
Oh, yeah.
We see it. But then we're allowing the story to be told that he hit him.
Yeah.
We see it. And that's what I mean about us telling the story, telling the real story, because we tend to be fair.
Yeah.
We tend to actually tell the story that happened.
It's simple
because we understand what it means to have our voices silenced. So we tend to be fair in things, even when we're not treated fairly. So when you're watching, you're watching him. Is it Shador?
Shiloh.
Shiloh.
Get his face mask grabbed.
We're watching him be attacked. And we're looking at the caption, tell us something that we're something completely different.
Yeah, Shiloh Sanders ejected for hitting player.
Well, wait a minute. So no, that's going to be the story.
That's going to be the headline.
That's the headline. Even though we see what's happening, that's the headline, and that's what they're going with, and that's the history of it.
And then what happens is
told in history just that way, unless we tell a different story and we say, "Oh no, absolutely not."
No, but here's the thing: we'll read that headline and see, oh, look at Deion Sanders' kids, they acting out. See, why can't you just be the good kid? Why you got to hit him? And it creates the further narrative like Shiloh's the problem, right, as a person who isn't defending himself. And we sometimes cannibalize ourselves in that way. Yeah. We see the headline like, oh, well, if he hit him, then yeah, he a rookie. You shouldn't have did that. And I'm like, bro, you didn't see the boy grab him by his face mask and do all that stuff?
But bigger, yes, that. But you do have people in the comments who are saying, no, we see him, we see this. Even though we're saying we see it, the headline is what goes down in history. We have to make them change the headline, change that story, go back and apologize, or we have to have our own platform so we can say what the story really is. So that headline, what's in print, is what goes in history.
Yeah.
Not oh, well, this is the argument. No, what they said, they are very clever, very smart. This is the story we want told, and this is what we're putting in the headline, because that's what goes in history. And so when we go back to recall it, oh, well, this is what happened. Who's going to read the story? Nobody. We're going to read the headline because
keep scrolling.
And keep scrolling.
And my point is, we want the headline to be the right headline and keep scrolling.
Yeah.
So, one more time, we are at time.
Well,
give us a shout out.
I want to thank you for coming by, because this was not planned. I actually called you when I called you like probably 4 hours ago.
About
4 hours ago. And I was like, we were just having this conversation,
Yeah.
and you popped up to the office last week, like, I got to talk to you. And I was like, okay, well, what are we talking about? She's like, we're in crisis. People need to get their ass on fan base.
Yes.
You don't understand what's going on.
Yes.
I'm in media. I was at MSNBC. I'm at where I am now. Like, it's a problem.
It's a problem.
And if we don't have infrastructure of the way to disseminate the content and the information that we want, we are in trouble. I understand that we looked at social media as a toy. I still think it is fun. I want to do the challenges, the dances. We want music. We want all the fun. But the foundation of all this is still the dissemination of information, whether it's humor, whether it's news, whether it's optimism, there's positivity or negativity.
Yeah.
It's still the dissemination of information. Who controls the infrastructure and owns that infrastructure is really in a very, very powerful position. And what we know, and shout out to Representative Jasmine Crockett, who Noah asked an amazing question when she was in Atlanta, asked about fan base. And she was like, we don't own the platforms. Elon Musk got Twitter, Zuckerberg got X. Elon's got Twitter, Zuckerberg got Instagram and Facebook, Trump got True Social. He's working out a deal to have a new TikTok that's owned by the U.S.
Yeah.
We don't own any platforms.
We don't own any platforms. And we need to. And that's the thing. I'm going to let you close out because I know you need to, but just, that's why it's important for us to have this content, have the content that we're creating, the podcast. And just a quick plug, So Bloom, the podcast that I produce with a group of Black men. I love doing content on Black men because the stories are not told the way they need to be told. And I have beautiful Black men in my family. And I want to tell the stories that we see reflected in our own families. So the So Bloom podcast with Mario Reyes. And then I'm also producing another, going around the country and talking to Black women about womanhood. So all of that content is what we need to have on Fanbase.
Thank you again. This is a challenge before I even close out about the raise, but I know a lot of you in Black media. I know you all. I need y'all to share this when we have this conversation. I need clips of this on your social media channels because it's not sexy, because sometimes we want our social media to be sexy. I don't want to mess up my algorithm, bruh. We gotta keep it moving. The conversation needs to be had. So I know a lot of you have downloaded Fanbase and you're not on there all the time, but I think the conversation of making this urgent, and I want to see how many blogs put this up. I want to see how many of the shade rooms and the baller alerts and all those platforms put this type of conversation and clips from this conversation, because this is a conversation that we need to have. And everybody asks, why are we so behind? Why don't we have our own? When are we going to build our own? So Fanbase was built to be a global platform for every single person on the platform to use. It is Black founded. It is not Black only. The founded part is the important part because it's the infrastructure. At the end of the day, who's allowed to say what and what they're allowed to say is the most important part. And on these platforms, we've seen time and time again that we're not allowed to say the things that we want to say. So I'm asking anybody that sees this, that hears this, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum is $399. Again, that's 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. I want to close this round. I want to continue to build exactly what we continue to build, and we have been building, and continue to grow the platform and scale. But mark my words, remember this moment. Like Tamisha said, if 20 million, 10 million people download Fanbase, I promise you it'll be the biggest story in the entire world that a Black founded social media platform that allows anybody to invest who believes in Black culture or is of Black culture to have equity in that platform. It'll be the biggest story in the world. Promise you. Startengine.com/fanbase. This is another episode of Invested. Noah, thank you for being Noah. Tamisha, thank you for joining us today, and I appreciate it. We see you guys on the next episode of Invested.
We out.
Invested.